Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I'm glad you're here. I didn't bring you here today to do a bunch of cutting. That'll all be in the future. I've got a lot coming up. I brought you here to show you some of the shop saws that I use, why I use them, what I like about them, what I don't, and probably a bunch of useless information you may never need. But I'm glad you're here, and I hope you enjoy. Alright guys, sitting before your eyes is the pinnacle of quality and craftsmanship. Yes indeed, this is the 4x6 Harbor Freight bandsaw. Made for production use, I own it. Quality like this comes at a premium price, and I wasn't afraid to drop the coin on it. I'm joking. This is my everyday use shop saw. It's been a great saw. I've owned it for several years, probably at least 2 years. I've done a few things to it that I think make it even better. There's a few things I don't like about it, but I think overall it's a pretty good saw. I'm going to bring you in, show you some of the things I like and some of the things I don't. Alright guys, got you down here on the side of the saw. These saws are pretty notorious, at least the ones from Harbor Freight, for having dirt and grit in the gearbox. When I first got my saw, I pulled off the gear cover because it was leaking anyway, removed all the old grease, cleaned all the casting grit out of it, and there was quite a bit. Made a new cover, filled it with clean oil, and then I also put an oil sight on it. So when I run this saw both in the horizontal or vertical position, I can see that the oil, that it's full of oil. So that's the first thing I did, and that may, lend to the longevity, of the life of this particular saw. I've used it, basically daily, for at least a couple years. Another thing that I've done to this saw that I think was extremely beneficial versus some of the original equipment that comes with it is I replaced this plate or table. The original one that comes on this saw for use in the vertical position is really flimsy and cheesy. I replaced it with a piece of cold rolled steel that I can use in both the horizontal and vertical position, and it's plenty big enough for most of the jobs that I do. Another thing that I did to this saw, which is not actually modification to the saw, but I made a set of vice jaw extensions that I can put in the vice jaws and run these right up to the edge of the blade, and I can cut stuff that's, less than 1 inch in length. There's a lot to be desired with the original equipment of the vice here. It's fairly far from the blade, and it's got basically a pivot point on the movable jaw, and it doesn't clamp well. But when you use the separate jaws that I made with this thing, it makes it pretty user-friendly. Not bad at all. There's a couple more things that I did, and I'm going to bring you around to the other side and show you those. Alright guys, I got you at the back side of the saw here. Another thing that I did is I made a quick release, or not a quick release, but big thumb wheel. So when I go to change blades on this saw, it's quick and easy. Another thing that I did is that I run bi-metal blades. I usually get my blades at Lowe's. I like Lennox, and I like a smaller tooth count or a finer tooth count on my blades. You can cut, wood and stuff with a finer tooth count. It's just not as fast or efficient, but they seem to last longer than the big coarse teeth, especially if you cut really fine, thin material. So that's usually what I run on it. Now don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily like this saw, but I don't dislike it either. For the money that I paid for it, it's been a great saw. The stand on it's not so bad. I've heard a lot of people complain about that, but when I put mine together originally, I Loctited all the screws and put nuts on the back side of on some that didn't have it. So overall, my opinion on this saw is that if you do a few things to it, you can get by with it. I'd love to have a do-all or a big Kalamazoo, but that's not in the budget. It may be in the future, but as of now, it's not. So I make do with this saw. Its capacity limits me quite a bit. I've ran into situations, you know, almost weekly that I could use a bigger capacity, but I make do with it. You can get a lot of work done with it, and it's not a bad saw. So for the money, it's a pretty good saw. Some people have had issues with them not cutting straight, and I think a lot of that is either due to misadjustment, blade worn on one side, or the pivot points in the back being machined improperly. This saw cuts straight, and I'm very pleased with it. Alright guys, here's my other shop saw. This is my Keller power hacksaw. I use this saw usually when I've got multiple things to cut and the horizontal vertical saw is full. This saw's got 2 speeds. It's got slow and slower, and I only paid $100 for it. So overall, this has been a great saw. I've used it quite a bit. I've only changed the blade on it probably 3 times since I've had it. So that's another good thing, is they last forever. It cuts real straight, and it also does a really good job at holding my files. Alright guys, that about does it for my vast collection of high quality shop saws. I think most of you would agree that the shop saws that you've seen are better than this. Those saws have got me by for years, and I expect that they'll get me by for quite a bit longer. Like I said, I'd love to have a big Kalamazoo or a do-all, you know, the big nice saws and the big nice shops. Hopefully in the future. If you haven't, please like and subscribe.